They say lighthouse keepers go mad from isolation. But what if isolation isn't what drives them insane? What if it's what they see when the fog rolls in and what looks back? The Lighthouse Keeper's Last Log. I took the job at Graves Point Lighthouse because I needed to disappear for a while. Bad divorce, worse decisions. The ad said 6 months, room and board, minimal human contact. Perfect. The lighthouse sat on a thin strip of rock 3 miles from shore. The previous keeper, a man named Dalton, had quit suddenly. The harbor master wouldn't say why, just handed me the keys and a logbook. "Keep the light on," he said, "and don't go down to the rocks at low tide." I didn't ask why. The first 2 weeks were peaceful. I fell into a routine. Maintain the light, check the equipment, write in the log. The solitude was healing. At night, I'd watch the beam cut through the darkness, steady and sure. Then I found Dalton's real logbook. It was hidden under a loose floorboard in the keeper's quarters. The entries started normal, weather reports, ship sightings, maintenance notes. But around week 3, the tone changed. "Saw something in the water today, too big to be a whale. Dove when I looked directly at it. The fog came in thick last night. Heard singing, beautiful but wrong. Covered my ears until dawn. It knows my name. How does it know my name?" The final entry was just one sentence, written so hard the pen tore through the paper. "Never look at the rocks when the light passes over them." That night, the fog rolled in. It came fast, swallowing the sea and the sky until there was nothing but gray. The lighthouse beam barely penetrated it. I went up to the lamp room to check the rotation, and that's when I heard it. Singing. Not quite human, not quite animal. Melodic but hollow, like wind through bone. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. I looked out the window toward the rocks below. At first, I saw nothing. Then the beam rotated, sweeping across the jagged stones at the lighthouse base. Figures stood there, dozens of them, pale, naked, dripping. They stood perfectly still, facing the lighthouse, mouths open in silent song. When the light hit them directly, they didn't move, didn't blink. They just stared up at me. The beam passed, plunging them into darkness. When it came around again, they were closer. Not walking, just suddenly closer, as if the darkness had moved them. My heart hammered. I stepped back from the window. The singing grew louder. I grabbed Dalton's logbook and flipped through frantically. Scribbled in the margins of the last page were 3 words. "Never go dark." The light bulb above me flickered. No, 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 no. I ran to the equipment panel. Everything looked fine, but the bulb kept flickering. The beam weakened, the rotation slowing. The singing became a chorus. I looked out again. The figures were at the base of the lighthouse now, climbing. Their fingers were too long, their joints bent wrong. They moved in the gaps between the light's rotation, freezing when the light touched them. The light flickered again, longer this time. In that moment of darkness, I heard them on the stairs. Wet footsteps, dozens of them. The smell of rotting seaweed filled the air. I slammed the hatch to the lamp room and locked it. The footsteps stopped just outside. Then came the scratching, fingernails on metal, slow and deliberate. The light flickered once more and died. Complete darkness. The scratching stopped. The door handle turned slowly. I backed against the window, my hand finding a flare gun in the emergency kit. The door opened. They stood there, crowded in the doorway, water streaming from their gray skin. Their eyes were white, pupilless. Their mouths hung open, still singing that terrible song. The one in front tilted its head. "Thomas," it said, in a voice like grinding shells. "We've been waiting." That was my name. How did it... "You're the 14th keeper," it continued. "Each of you sees us. Each of you tries to hide. But the light always fails, Thomas. It always fails." More figures pushed into the room behind it. Too many, impossibly many. "Why?" I managed to whisper. Its mouth stretched wider. "Because we were keepers too. Before the light, before the warnings. We looked when we shouldn't have. We went down to the rocks. Now we serve a different beacon." The closest one reached for me with those 2 long fingers. I fired the flare. The room exploded in red light. They shrieked, a sound that shattered the windows, and recoiled. I didn't wait. I shoved through them, their cold skin slick under my hands, and ran down the stairs. Behind me, the singing turned to screaming. I hit the main door and burst out into the fog. The boat was tied at the dock. I could see its outline. I ran. Something grabbed my ankle. I fell hard, my chin cracking against stone. When I looked back, dozens of hands were pulling me toward the water. Their faces loomed from the fog, mouths open, eyes empty. "Your light went out, Thomas. Now you stay. Now you sing." I clawed at the rocks, but they were too strong. The water was freezing, and as it closed over my head, I saw them all around me, hundreds of figures standing on the ocean floor, looking up, waiting. The last thing I heard was the singing, welcoming one more voice. "New keeper arrived today. Name's Marcus Webb. Seems eager. I didn't tell him about the previous keeper. They never find the bodies anyway. Gave him the official logbook and the same warning I give them all. Keep the light on. Don't go down to the rocks at low tide. He'll be fine for a few weeks. They always are. Just hope he doesn't find Dalton's logbook or Thomas's or the 12 others hidden in the walls. Harbor Master, Graves Point."